What if I told you that there's a secret brush in Photoshop that allows you to paint the wet glass effect? Yes, you heard that right. You don't need any overlay, you don't need any texture, none of that. You can easily take that brush and start painting and it will do the effect. You might have to do some minor adjustments, but that's it. It's very easy to do. So without any further ado, let's get started. Back in the magical world of Photoshop, and this video is brought to you by Envato Elements. By the way, there's something very special for you. Right now, Envato Elements is running a 7-day free trial, absolutely free. So you can try free actions, free presets, free brushes, everything. Now keep in mind, Envato Elements offers you unlimited downloads with license. So you can get the 7-day free trial. You can download as much as you want, as many as you want. Everything is unlimited. By the way, you can also try one of my favorite Envato Elements actions, that is the Real Paint Effects. So they offer my favorite actions actually are linked up in the description if you want to check it out. All right, let's get back to the video. So first of all, let's create one of our favorite adjustment layers. You already know what that is, curves. So click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose curves. By the way, you can go ahead and download this photo and follow along by checking the links in the description. Create a point in the middle and take it up. You can also take the shadows up. Now keep in mind, you can always adjust this later, and that's why it is an adjustment layer. Now select the mask of the curves adjustment layer. You can also name this wet glass texture. All right, and now take the brush and select this secret brush. Click on the drop down, and inside of the dry media brushes, let's choose Kyle's Ultimate Charcoal. Now if you cannot see this brush, just click on the gear right there and then choose Append Default Brushes. All of the default brushes would load up. Now this is available in the later versions of Photoshop. Most of the later versions of Photoshop has this brush. Let's go to dry media brush and let's choose this charcoal brush. Now select the mask again and make the brush a little larger. Now here's the special adjustment. Change the blend mode of the brush from normal to difference. If you're wondering, yes, I got the idea of this technique from the difference brush lesson. You can watch it here after this video. All right, let's choose difference. Make sure the color that you have chosen is white. Now we are painting on white, but you must be wondering, if we paint white on white, nothing would happen. But it would happen because we have chosen the blend mode difference, and the difference between white and white is black, right? Because if you subtract white from white, you're going to get black. If you subtract any color from the same color, it's going to be black. All right, so if you paint once, this is what you get. But if you paint one more time in another area, this is what you get. But if you paint over it, now the area between those two strokes will paint a difference, and that difference in this case is white or gray or any shade of that, depending upon what you painted there. Hold the Alt key or the Option key and click on the mask again to show the layer, and then continue painting. And as you do, have a look at the wet glass effect. Now you can make the brush as small as possible, as large as possible. That's up to you according to your taste. Let's make the image a little smaller and continue painting. By the way, to see what you're doing and ease up the process, select the background layer, press Ctrl or Command J, and let's convert it into a smart object so that whatever filter we apply, we can change it later. Let's go to Filter, Convert for Smart Filters, hit OK, and we can change the values of that filter later. Let's go to Filter, Blur, and then Gaussian Blur. Let's keep it at about 120, that seems fine. Hit OK. You can of course change it. Select the mask of the wet glass texture again, and then continue painting. Now take a look how realistic this looks. So I'm going to make it slightly smaller, and then paint the whole thing. You can keep the stroke straight, you can just bend it a little, that's up to you. You can make the brush bigger, smaller. Avoid overpainting. If you paint too much over the same areas again and again, that area inside of the mask will become absolutely gray. For example, if I continue to paint again and again, just in this area, see, it just becomes gray. So avoid overpainting. There you go, that seems so nice. Now we need to reveal the faces and some other areas of the subject back in. So here's what we do. So in the background copy that we had made, you can also name it blurred, create a mask. And in this mask as well, we're going to do the same thing with the same brush selected and blend mode difference, just reveal back some areas. Don't make it obvious by just revealing only the face. Do also consider bringing back some other areas as well. That seems about right. And then you can also continue painting in some of these areas again and again to make it a little more realistic. Even here, the secret is not overdoing it. So I'm undoing it a little. One of the ways you can also undo is by changing the blend mode back to normal and then painting back some of the areas in white. That seems about right. Now let's choose a normal brush. Let's go with a soft round brush and let's decrease the flow to about, let's say, 5 or 6% or even 20%. That's okay. And then make sure you have chosen the mask of the blurred layer. The blend mode is normal. And then we need to bring the blurred area back in some areas. So let's zoom in this area. Make the brush a little larger with white as the foreground color because we are bringing back the blurred areas. We're just going to paint a little bit here. There you go. A little bit there. If you want, you can also increase the blur a little. Double click on the Gaussian blur. That is the advantage of smart objects. So let's set it to about 140. How do you feel about that? There you go. That's nicer. Now select the mask again with white as the foreground color. Let's make some areas blurred. Now I would make the bottom areas completely blurred. There you go. Some areas of the hair as well. Now to reveal the details in some areas of the face, paint with the opposite color, that is black. Let's bring back this area. You can also decrease the flow further. Let's go with 10. Bring back some random areas from the background as well so that it doesn't look fake. Now to make it even more realistic, here's what you do. You apply one more layer of blur. So right now if you look at it, the lips and the eyes cannot be that sharp, right? It has to be a little blurry. So let's make a copy of the background layer just above the background. Press Ctrl or Command J again, and this is Slight Blur. Let's go to Filter, Convert for Smart Filters. Hit OK. This time it won't be Gaussian blur, it would be selective. And for it, the best blur is Filter, Blur Gallery, Field Blur. It allows you to control blur differently in different areas. So let's zoom in. So let's see on the eyes, we wanted a little blur. About 2 pixels is fine. On this eye, 2 pixels is fine. On the nose, a little more blur. 3 pixels seems okay. Similarly on the lips, it's fine. You're gonna keep it 1 or 2. Now on the chin, it can go a little higher. Now 15 by default, that's fine. That looks fantastic here. Let's zoom out. Right here as well. Now I know it looks a little scary with those points on the eyes. But anyway, let's create a point here. By default, it's 15. So you can take it away to kind of decrease the blur. So that's the trick that you can use. Let's create more points here and there. You can also assume that the edges are kind of out of focus. So you can create one more point right here with a little more blur than usual. So this is the regular 15. This is a little more. So there you go. So you can create as many points as you wish. I'm just going to hit OK for now. And take a look at the difference. This does make a lot of difference. So here's the before with everything sharp, and here is the after with slight blur. Now I feel that the eyes need to be a little blurry. So let's go back to Blur Gallery by double clicking on it. Choose this one and let's increase the blur slightly. There you go. Hit OK. And now you have the wet glass effect. Now this is not over yet. If you feel that it's perfectly fine, please go ahead and take a break and get back to it because it's not. Now when you get back to it, you might notice something that you might have missed because you were so engrossed in the process. So right now when I look at it, the nose looks a little crazy. The texture on it, I don't like it. So let's go to the blurred layer. Take the brush. You can choose the same charcoal brush right here and kind of erase it from the nose areas. So there you go. I would decrease the flow to about possibly 5%. And there you go. That's how you take it away from the nose. And if you want to bring back the blur a little bit, you can also do that by choosing the soft round brush and then just painting with white. 5% blur is fine. There you go. You added a slight soft effect there. You can also go to the wet glass texture mask and erase it here as well by painting with black slightly over the face and some important areas with a soft brush. Take a look how awesome it looks and how easy it was. You can also choose the charcoal brush again and set it back to difference to paint back in some areas if you wish. So let's set it to difference, change the foreground color to white, and then you can paint back in some of these areas to add more realism here. That seems more than enough. On top of it, you can create one more curves adjustment layer. And maybe let's make the bright areas even brighter by taking the slider on the right to the left. Something like this. And why don't we have the same mask here? Hold the Alt key, the Option key, and take this mask and drag it and drop it right here. Replace? Yes. But we don't want that much intensity of the mask. So select the mask, open up the properties of the mask. If you cannot see the properties, let's go to Window and then make sure properties are open. Properties is open actually, and decrease the density of it. That's all. So 20% is fine. And now let's create a group of these curves so that we can have two masks for the same layer. We don't want to disturb this mask, but we want to have one more mask where we just bring it in certain areas. So for it, with the curves adjustment layer selected, press Ctrl or Command G, and let's name this highlighting. There you go. And now hold the Alt key or the Option key and click on the mask button to create a negative mask. Now you can take the brush, take a soft round brush, make sure the blend mode is normal, and you can increase the flow and opacity and everything back to 100. And now make the brush larger and just dab with white. A little highlight there, a little highlight here. That's all up to you. A little bit there, a little bit here. And that's how we can paint a wet glass effect. And in the end, how can we forget? How about adding some global effects like some color grading? And the easiest way to do it is adding some LUTs. So click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose color lookup. Let's add it at the very top, not inside the group. And in here, let's choose something like crisp warm. That looks nice, but we don't want to apply it to the shadows. So double click on the right hand side of the layer and take it away from the shadows by taking the slider of the underlying layer from left to right. Of course, this would be harsh. So hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the slider to break it apart, take it all the way apart, hit OK. Now you can control the opacity of how much you want. About 72 is fine, and there you have it. So that's how we can use difference to not only create textures like we did in this previous video, to not only create light leaks like we also did in this previous video, but also create the wet glass effect. Actually paint it. Let us do a quick little recap. All you gotta do is to create a curves adjustment layer right here and just make it brighter. That's all. Once you do, take the brush, take the charcoal brush. So from the dry media brushes, select the charcoal brush, change the blend mode from normal to difference and simply start painting. And this is the mask that you will end up with. Now don't forget to make a copy of the background layer and blur it to see what's happening. So this was what you would see. And use the same brush and also a soft round brush to reveal the details here. And you can also add some additional blur here as well. And at the top, of course, you can add some highlighting and some other effects, some color lookup tables. That's up to you. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, make sure to give us a like and also don't forget to subscribe, but not just subscribe. Ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss any other future tips, tricks, or tutorials. I would like to take this moment to thank all these nice and amazing people for supporting PiXimperfect on Patreon and helping keep PiXimperfect free for everybody forever. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.
What can I do?